Beth, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, Jack.
I'm excited to dive into your content. I've been doing this health and fitness thing for quite a while now, and it's not too often that I get surprised by people's content and their knowledge, but also how you're using your knowledge as well. It's just very authentic and it's just very practical. I absolutely love listening to your previous podcasts, all that sort of stuff, your Instagram as well. So yeah, I appreciate your content, and how you're actually delivering it as well. And I know the listeners are going to get a lot out of this episode.
Oh, great. I'm excited.
So just let everybody know who you are and what you do.
Great. Well, my name is Beth, and I'm a health detective. And I help brilliant, intuitive people who know that their symptoms mean something figure it out and have the health transformation. So when you are struggling with what to do and you don't like the answers you're getting, you're not getting answers from your regular system, you're not getting answers from the alternative system. They're like, wait, I got to figure this out, I'm not happy with this. You need somebody who's going to figure it out. And it's
Mm,
not just me. There's plenty of people like me who ask better questions and have different techniques, but I'm the only one that has the skill set and the techniques that I have. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. But honestly, there are people in your town who are asking different questions. So you can find someone right where you are, but the things we're going to talk about today are going to help you figure out what questions to ask so that you can get the answers. Your body is really always working for you, and
mm.
I want to help you get there.
I love that. And like, you need to be curious and understand and listen to conversations like this so you can ask better questions. I've always said, when you go to seek help, most of the responsibility is on you. You can't just go to your doctor and say, "Oh, I feel this." You need to have a lot of information so the doctor, practitioner, whoever you're seeing, can actually use that information. So the more you understand your body, the better information you can give and the better results you can get. I love how you said health detective. That's a great way to describe what you do. I want to start with, what do you think most people are getting wrong with their health and wellness?
Well, really, I think they're outsourcing it. So you've kind of said that already, but we're looking for answers outside of ourselves.
Mm,
And to go back to why I'm called a health detective, I didn't come up with that name. A client gave me that name, and I said,
mm.
"That's wonderful." I am I'm a mechanical engineer for 35 years. No marketing at all. The marketing language has been really hard for me to figure out. And
Mm.
so when a client said, "Hey, you're like a health detective," I thought, "Oh, this is awesome. I'm going to use this." And the reason that it works really well is because I want you to be your own health detective of your life. So what people get wrong is they think that someone else is going to be the expert
Mm,
in their body, and that's not true. So there are experts, and you should assemble them and assemble a team, but know what your experts are good at. So if you have a medical specialist, understand what that medical specialist has been trained on and what they're designed to look for and see.
mm.
And that's the lens through which you take all of the information you received from that person. Same with alternative. A body work specialist, a massage therapist is always going to see things in a certain way. It's going to be different than a surgeon. It's just, and so when you change that perspective of looking inside yourself and knowing that you are responsible, and then everything changes. Everything
Definitely.
changes.
100%. So how do we get people to change that?
Well, my core premise is that your body always wants to heal. And the first step is realizing that your body's not attacking you. There is no war, there is no battle. I don't like the war analogies. I don't like
Mm,
we're fighting this, we're
mm,
battling this. No, it's, you might not understand why your body is doing something, why it has created inflammation, why it has created a lump or a bump or something like that. But I'm telling you, you just don't understand it, but it's trying to protect you. It is sending oxygen and blood, and so it's heating up and healing is happening. The lump or bump is your body's like taking everything that might harm you and putting it in a little ball and saying, okay, we're going to protect it and keep it away from your heart, out of your brain. We're just going to put it there. It's up to you to decide how to deal with it. But the first step is really to know that your body's always trying to heal. When you get a cut on your finger, you don't have to do anything.
Mm,
You don't need to even wash it or put a band aid on it, nothing. It will heal. Of course, you should clean out the dirt and you should make sure it has everything it needs. But even if you didn't do that, it's going to figure out how to close up that wound all by itself.
mm. And that makes perfect sense. Like how you were describing how the lump in your body's trying to block it from the rest of the body. Like your body is trying to protect itself and heal itself. That makes perfect sense. But like you said, all the analogies of we're trying to fight this and, all the, like, again, it's almost like you're working against your body. So I guess my next question would be, how do we work with our body to heal it, let it heal itself?
So when you want to work with your body, it's really simple. So if you have any engineers in your life, we are basic, practical people. We're the ones that fix your cars. We're the ones that make sure the air conditioning works. We're the one, especially mechanical engineers, my type, is just like hands on. How does it work and not break? And how do we fix it once so that we don't have to keep going back? And so that's the same with health. And that's what I've found is it's really not that complicated. There's three things you need to do. The first is keep the garbage out.
Mm,
So that's food. You know what the good food is and the bad food. If you skip the cupcakes and the alcohol. For women, caffeine can be really problematic. Everyone metabolizes caffeine differently, but you know what is good food and bad food. Skip that processed stuff. Keep the garbage out. But it's not only food, it's also what we take in through our eyes and our ears. So if you're watching the little screen on your phone and you are just going through the news, sure, we have to stay on top of what's happening, but I challenge you to take a break and skip the news for a day. The world will still go on. Just be mindful of the chaoticness, the tragedy, what you are watching. You might like scary movies. That really affects your nervous system, even though you might like it. So, your relationships, the music you listen to, everything that you take in, try and keep some of the garbage out. And then the second
mm,
thing is eat real food. Food that doesn't come in a box or a can or a bag, no barcode, no ingredient label because it's just one thing. Basic food. And so,
mm,
likewise, spend time with people you love, watch a sunset or a sunrise, take in beauty. It's not just about eating healthy greens and making the best smoothie. It's about what is the quality of your life and what are you taking in. And the
mm,
third thing, which always gets overlooked, is you have to eliminate. There is an elimination that has to happen because just to be alive, eating all the healthy food, your cells have waste. Your body metabolizes things and breaks down your food, and there's waste. We don't use everything up and incinerate it so that there's nothing left except carbon dioxide, which we exhale. That would be wonderful, but we're not like that. We work out at the gym and we break down muscle, and there's waste products. All of that needs to get cleared. So you need to eliminate every day. And then if you haven't had the best lifestyle, or even if you had, we live in a our air and water are not as clean as they should be. We need to move our lymph system. We need to make sure that we are assisting our body in clearing out these things. So I'm not a fan of do a 3-day detox and take a whole bunch of supplements. Detoxing is just a simple daily activity. Sweat,
Mm,
move, go for a walk or a run. Like that's detoxing. Um, there's so many simple things that are part of helping your body clear out the regular wastes that are there and the extra stuff. So those are the three things.
mm, mm. When you say eliminate, what do you talk? Can you dive into that a little bit deeper?
Sure, sure. So you need to poop every day. You need to
Yeah.
go to the bathroom and have a bowel movement every day.
Mm,
And different people at different stages of life, um, they're like, oh, I don't worry about that. But you need to, because otherwise, as you get older, those hormones just start recycling. And you don't want hormone metabolites circulating around your body. For both women and men, there's so many xenoestrogens, which are fake estrogens. You don't need those circulating in your body. Men don't need them, and women don't need them either. So, helping your body move that through. If your lymph is congested, so people know that around your neck when you say the seasons change and you feel your throat hurting, if
mm,
you rub underneath your chin, you will feel little lumps and bumps. So those are the little filters. And those lymph nodes are doing their job of filtering things out. Help them out. Give them a massage. They're in your armpits, they're around your collarbone, they're in your groin area. They're actually located everywhere there's a big joint. They're
mm.
behind your knees. So rub them, bounce up and down. That helps move the lymph and that helps eliminate. And if you are needing to do more, there's more you can do to help to move the liver and the kidneys. Bitter foods, especially when you are entering your springtime,
Mm,
is so in the north. The when we get into springtime, getting those bitter foods, and then when you're in the south and you're getting into the autumn and the fall, then those warming foods, like eating like simply, will be a natural elimination process.
mm.
Yeah, those are some simple ways.
Yeah. So you've said you're sorry, what was your previous
Mechanical
job?
engineer.
Mechanical engineer. So how did you get from mechanical engineer to the detective that you are now?
Well, you know, I always thought people felt their bodies the way I feel my body. I'm really aware of myself. And when I would eat something that didn't agree with me, I would say, hey, what is in this? This
Mm,
doesn't feel right. Whereas somebody else might just eat a whole plate and then say, oh, I feel terrible afterwards. What happened? I don't know what it was. And I knew, and I loved exploring different types of movement. I've tried all kinds of exercise routine and every style out there. I just enjoy it so much and finding out what feels right to me.
mm,
And food, I've tried every diet. It's just so much fun to see, well, what works for me. So now I know exactly what works for me. But then I realized that not everyone has the same proprioception of their body that I do. And so I would begin to hear people, like family and friends, have complain about their health and say, "Oh, I have a migraine. It makes me feel awful, and I take the medication, but then that makes me feel nauseous. So I don't know what to do, but it's only once a week, so I guess it's not that bad. I'll just live with it." And that would drive me crazy.
mm,
And so I realized that there were more and more people in my life who were just very accepting of their health limitations. And I know that I want more healthy people in my life because healthy people just are more fun to be around and they're more creative and they solve problems. So that's how I decided to take what I know and how I had lived my life and how I have raised my family and I put it together and built a method around it.
Mm. What's that method called?
It is called the Precision Healing Method.
Mm. And I guess when people sign up with you, like, what's the process? So I just like for people listening, they're interested, they're hearing what we're saying. They're like, okay, yeah, I do get those headaches every week. It's not normal. What should I do next?
Well, the first thing before you even call me is to ask better questions, like we talked about in the beginning, is to
Mm.
look at who is on your team, your health team, and who can you go to first to ask better questions. So you might have a medical doctor, you might have a physical therapist, or anyone. You might have a good friend. Talk it through, ask better questions. When you want to work with me, I use a technique called bioenergetic testing. It's a form of digital muscle testing. So if you've ever worked with an applied kinesiologist, some nutritionists, some chiropractors use this technique. Usually it's done in person, and it is about asking questions to your body's communication system, and it allows the practitioner to get an idea of what is in balance and out of balance. I use lab grade equipment and computer software to ask lots of questions. It's just like sending a text message to your electric body, to your electric communication system. So you don't need to know the answer. Your brain doesn't need to know the answer, but your communication system does. And then I record the responses because I get a text message back with, um, and I can analyze everything. I'm also a homeopath. So homeopathy uses energetic signatures to help balance out. And so then I'm able to create a custom homeopathic remedy that usually has over 100 different energetic signatures in it. Homeopathy is wonderful for emotional as well as physical, because we all have so much going on. We have a base layer of stress. We've got stress from long ago, from things that happen that are just kind of packed away that we haven't dealt with, or maybe we thought we dealt with, or but our body is still tight holding on to them. So
Mm.
uh, then I also layer in the health coaching. I've been studying with a renegade naturopath for a long time, and there's a lot of common sense that people have thrown out the window because it might take too long, or it might not be something that comes in a little pill. So I don't sell supplements. Sometimes people do need a supplement, so I'll make a recommendation. But basically, I'm looking to help you get back into balance physically and emotionally, improve your lifestyle with relationship to food and movement, and making sure that you have everything you need to get through what has been holding you back.
Mm. And that would definitely make for a healthy, well-rounded, long-living person. So again, I absolutely love that. You touched on stress. Can we dive into stress a little bit more?
Yes.
Obviously, there's stress coming in from just our day-to-day life, and like you said, maybe traumas from our past history that we're holding on to. So, like again, what is it about stress that we're getting wrong and that we can do to, I guess, help live a less stressed life?
So stress gets a lot of talk. Like right now, a lot of people talk about nervous system regulation. And if you just do the right breathing technique, it'll all be fine. And there's something that works for everybody. And
Mm.
somebody could try a breathing technique and that's just what they need. Somebody could have a therapist and talk it out, and that could be just what they need. But our body holds on to everything. It's actually here. It's in here. And so your brain might think, "Oh, I'm good with that. I processed it." But if your body didn't get the message, it's still contributing. I hear this a lot in clients when they say, "I was fine, my digestion was fine, but then this." bad thing happened. I got fired from my job, or there was a death in the family, and I just haven't been right since. And I know, and then they try and apologize and say, "Well, I know that that doesn't have anything to do with my digestive system, but that's kind of when they happen." Well, of course they do. Of course they have everything to do. But it's not just dealing with grief of over a lost job or a lost family member. And it's not just healing your digestive system, it's both. And stress will settle. What I found is stress settles in areas of weakness. So it's the low back that goes out.
Mm,
It's you get off the phone with someone and your neck is all tight from the tension of talking to that person. It was just the most irritating conversation. You feel awful. I think everybody has felt an upset stomach after a stressful situation as well. So we need to address both. I happen to look at a systems view and I can't separate them.
mm,
And homeopathy is one of my tools, and they do both together. So that's how I approach it. I'm not a mental health professional. So if there's deep trauma that you want to help clear and revisit, that's outside my scope, and you get the right help for you. But otherwise, how can we separate it? We need both together. We need so that's what I do. And so what people get wrong about stress is trying to compartmentalize it and say,
mm,
"Oh, I'll go see someone later." But not realizing that it is connected to that shoulder pain that won't go away.
mm, mm. So, again, how do we deal with stress? I know that's a bit of a complicated and hard question to answer because it's so different. We all deal with stress in different ways. Uh, just, I guess, what I find with I guess where I'm going with this is like you had a perfect example of the back. I had a client earlier this week, super stressed at work, still fit, active, very healthy, very strong. And yeah, just got up out of the chair and his back just went and he couldn't walk really. He's fine
Mm.
now. It, like again, calming down and all that sort of stuff. But how do we, I guess, minimize those situations where you're getting stressed? I've always said that you can't really see stress coming on, unfortunately, until something like your back tweaks or your digestion or something worse like your heart or brain, something like that. So, how do we not get to those points where something gives?
Well, I bet if you ask that man, he would tell you that, yeah, work's been a lot lately. Like,
Mm,
yeah, it's been a little intense. So we tend to normalize it and think that, working 10, 12 hours a day and just being on is fine. And then on the weekend, we can do all the family things and just be on for the family. And
mm,
and we're doing it. And we could think we're not stressed, but honestly, if you had a heart to heart, you'd probably find out like, yeah, he probably thought he was just pushing it a little hard. So the first thing is awareness. Like, we're meant to have some stress. We're
mm,
meant to be, like, excited, but then we're meant to have recovery. So, it's important to build in recovery. And if you are in a really intense period of your life, you need to look at your calendar and put in time where you turn off the work phone and the work computer, or you whatever you need to do. And it needs to be commensurate with the stressful time you're going through. So I was talking to someone who's launching a book and going on a book tour and knew that it would be 6 weeks of travel and
mm,
doing all that book promotion. So she booked 2 weeks after that of nothing, like no vacation, no family activities. Like she wasn't going to compensate for being traveling. She was just going to be home and
mm,
have nothing on the calendar. And that was the reset. So sometimes a 2-day weekend is not enough to compensate for an 80-hour work week. You need to figure out what's right for you. So first is awareness, then is to build in recovery time, and then next is to figure out what works for you. So you and I are probably similar in that we get our stress and we metabolize it through physical activity.
mm,
And the more active I am, I get on the pickleball court or I go for a hike or go skiing, like that just resets everything. For some people, that would be more stressful. That's not what they need. And they might be more of the sit on the couch, listen to music, be with friends, uh, journaling. I don't like to write things out, my goodness, but some people love journaling. I'm just not one of them. Some people like all the smells and they want to go get a massage, or they want to go to the spa and they want the scents and the relaxation. That's fine, but that doesn't do it for me. I need to be more physical in my approach. I mean, just shaking. There's a lot of nervous system regulation techniques that work. So it's good to know what they are, even though they're kind of trendy. But breathing, getting out of the shallow breathing and in diaphragmatic breathing, breathing through your nose. There's a lot of research on this. I
Yep.
mean, you got to breathe through your nose to get all the good benefits, not through your mouth. And um, sometimes just being able to reset with grounding yourself in where you are, touching your skin, your hand, like just, all right. And you calm down and you just get fully present. And sometimes that works for people. Other times they can't, that doesn't work. And it's too simplistic. So different things work for different people. But that's what I'd say about addressing stress, because you're right. It's everywhere and it sneaks up on you.
Mm. Yeah. Again, I love that. Like, again, we're going to have stress. You're going to have stressful periods, and you want to achieve things, so you're going to be stressed in that time. I'm just, I guess my example is I'm just very bad at locking that time in to de-stress and recover. I always think, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow, and tomorrow just never comes. So yeah, I appreciate that, and that's one thing I am going to start practicing, getting better at for sure. Can we dive into, I guess, sleep a little bit? I know you've touched on it in some of your content. What again? What are people getting wrong with sleep, and how do we fix it?
Well, I always think that people must know this stuff
Yeah.
because I'm a light sleeper. So I started figuring out sleep decades ago, when the Aura rings came out. Oh my goodness, I heard about them. I got one of the first ones.
Mm,
And I tracked my sleep until after about 2 months, I had enough data that I didn't need it anymore. And so I put it aside. But it was great for getting information.
mm,
And because so when I sometimes I think we don't need to talk about sleep because doesn't everybody know this? But no, not everyone knows this. So let's
yeah.
do the basics. S- Getting a good night's sleep starts with when you wake up. So you need to wake up at the same time every day. And when you wake up, you need to see the light. You need to, if you are in winter, like I am in Buffalo, New York, you need light. You might need a bright light, or you need to see the sun. Sometimes it's so gray, we don't see any sun. You need to get that bright light. That resets your circadian rhythm. That starts your day. Then you need to build sleep pressure. So if you do nothing all day except sit in a chair on your computer and no activity, you are not building sleep pressure. You need to use your body. So do some physical activity, use your brain. There's plenty of ways to build sleep pressure. And eat early dinner.
Mm,
I know that I've worked with people in many different cultures who have a late evening routine and eating late. And that's great, but you're not going to get a good night's sleep because you're
mm,
trying to go to sleep and your body's digesting. And light. So it used to be just talking about computers and phones with the blue light, but there's a big trend to use LED lighting throughout the home, not just offices, but in the home as well. And LEDs, I mean, they're even in the car headlights. They just have a spectrum of light that has the light of so much blue that it's like even more intense than high noon sunshine in your
mm,
summertime. It's just, and when your eyes take in that light, it's like, oh, no melatonin. We don't need to get ready for sleep. It is daytime. And So I tell people, hey, dim the lights, get off the screens. But the reality is everything we do for relaxation, not everything, but many things in the evening are on screens. So put on the red glasses. So I have glasses that take away all of the blue light, and that's what I wear before
Mm,
bed for at least an hour or maybe 2. And you know what? It changes the color. So if you're trying to work and do some detailed work, you're not going to be able to see certain colors on your screen, and it's gonna be frustrating. So then, you know what? Turn off the screen.
that's
Yeah,
yep.
and then when
I
you go to bed. Oh, go ahead.
no, I do the same thing, like, whenever I wear the glasses and then I've got work to do. I know you shouldn't do work before bed, but you just can't because you can't see the screen properly, so it's a good excuse
Yes,
to turn it off and go to bed.
it is, and then when it's time for bed, go to bed at the same time every night. Get into a routine. It only shift it by like 30 minutes because when on the weekend, when you're like, oh, it's the weekend, I'm going to stay up late, then it's like you're traveling across time zones and then you just mess things up. So if you can, go to bed at the same time as well. Make sure it's nice and cool. Everything is dark. If you need to, wear earplugs, wear an eye mask. We've got like if you got any of those LED lights that are on any of your if you've got any electronic devices in your bedroom, put electrical tape over it so you can't see those lights. You can
Mm,
get a analog alarm clock. You really don't need to use your phone for an alarm. And actually, once you get into good sleep hygiene, you don't even need an alarm anymore because you just wake up.
yep,
You say, "You know what? I think I'd like to wake up at this time." And you do. And it's magical. So
mm.
that is about sleep and sleep hygiene. Did I cover the things that you do? Are there new things that you do that I haven't talked about?
No, 100%. You pretty much covered everything. The only difference, I have the light alarm in the morning, like the
Ah,
one that slowly
nice.
gets brighter. But like you said, most of the time, once you dial things in, you don't need to get there. Like, you don't need the alarm. But I was going to ask, I work on sleep and sleep hygiene with a lot of my clients. How long do you reckon it takes for people to get in routine? Because I find a lot of people like, yes, all right, I'm going to start working on my sleep. And then 2 nights in, they're like, well, that didn't work. And then just fall back into old habits.
Oh, it could take weeks, a minimum of a month, like 4 to 6 weeks, and it depends. Are you cutting out the alcohol with dinner?
Mm,
Have you shifted? Because really I gave so many things.
yeah.
So if you're gonna implement all of them in 1 week, you're gonna be like, "Oh, I feel a total difference." But if you're like, "Ah, I'm not ready to give up, my coffee after dinner," you know, or whatever you're doing, or I just need to watch television in bed to fall asleep, and, so then if it's not working for you, you gotta see really what are you implementing, and
Mm,
you're not going to implement it until it's a big enough pain point.
mm,
You have to be in pain with the situation. So I was a very light sleeper and I was really frustrated. So I sought it out. And so now I don't drink alcohol, maybe once or twice a year on a special occasion. But I know if at dinner I have a glass of wine, it's going to affect my sleep. And I value my sleep more than going along with the social
yeah.
appropriateness that
Mm,
society says having wine with dinner. And so until you get to the point where it's more important to have the better sleep, it'll be difficult for you to make those decisions. For me, I don't it's not even a decision. It's just this is how I am. And that will help you implement these things. The more of those things you implement, the faster it will go. And it won't take a month. It'll take a week instead. But yeah, it's going to take more than 2 days because one glass of wine, well, for women, one glass of wine will affect your sleep for 7 days.
mm, it's crazy.
It
Uh,
is.
and like you said, once you cut it out, you realize how much it actually affects your sleep. So yeah, big takeaway there for everybody is just take a month or two off alcohol and see what happens. It
Yeah,
it will change your life completely.
yeah.
You touched on technology, and I'd love to dive into it because you said you used it for 2 months and then didn't need it anymore. I find technology can be a good tool to help you improve like you can't improve what you're not tracking to a certain extent. So they are very useful, but at a certain point, people get addicted to it and they rely on it. And I'd love you to touch on that and how you used it and then realize that you didn't need anymore.
Hmm. Yeah. So first of all, if you're using any of the smart watches, smart rings, turn off the Bluetooth where it's always trying to sync back and upload your data. Just, if you're going to wear it, make it dumb. And
Mm,
then at a certain period, sync it, do the sync, but you don't need it. I mean, people I've seen get eczema on their wrist from that watch right there. So
mm,
I wanted data. I love data. I wanted data on my sleep. And so I was able to see that I need to be in bed for a much longer time. Like, that you hear about people who are like, oh, I only need 5 hours of sleep. Like, well, no, I need to be in bed for 8.5 hours of sleep in order to get 7 or 7.5 hours of sleep
mm,
because I am restless and so now I know my body. But the ring I had, it would give me a sleep score. And then after a while, I'd wake up in the morning and before I checked my phone, I would say, I think this is my sleep score. And I was right.
huh,
I started being able to feel with the changes I was making, what was happening. And it would say, I would begin to feel that. And so I encourage you to, and your listeners to feel that as well with whatever device you're using. See if you need it. The reason I got rid of it
mm.
wasn't because I became an expert in knowing what my sleep number is or whatever. It was because I was so mad. I was having bad night's sleep. And I'd look at the number and say, yes, I know I had a bad night's sleep. And I'd take the ring and I'd want to throw it across the room because I was so mad, like,
Mm,
because it was just validating that yes, I know I had a bad night's sleep. You don't need to rub it in my face. And, and so I was really mad at that tech. And so once I figured out, well, these are the things I need to do, what my sleep hygiene habit stack was, then I realized I don't need this anymore because I have become my own data monitoring system, and I put it aside. And then eventually, like, the model was so old and the app was so old that it was garbage. But
mm.
originally, like, I really wanted to throw it across the room because who needs something that says you didn't sleep well, your HRV is terrible.
And you're already irritable in those moments anyway, and there's a
Yes.
technology telling you that you are anyway. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But it comes down to what we're talking about at first. You almost, if you do rely on that technology, the rings, the watches, all that sort of stuff, you're outsourcing your health again instead of using it as a tool to improve it. And like I did the same. I wore a Whoop for a year or two, and then afterwards, I'm like, I know I've got all the data. Like, I'm just wearing it because it's a monthly subscription, and like they sort of trap you in and think you need it still. But once you get that data, you
Hmm.
can almost not need it anymore. I think it's just trying to break that cycle because again, like all these technologies and companies want you to be using their stuff because you're paying for it. So you need to be aware of that as well. And I'd say that to people starting out with food as well, like tracking your food, understanding food is very important. So it's worth tracking your food every now and then to see what you're actually putting into your body, how many calories, macro breakdown, all that sort of stuff, because people just have no idea, but
Yeah.
don't get obsessed with it. That's the hard part.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. So for the tech, yeah, use your tech. And then once you get a good handle on it, take a break from it and see how you do. Yes, when I'm advising people, nobody knows what a carbohydrate is. You'd think so, but no. Um, yes,
Mm,
what is a carbohydrate? That's like a whole thing that I never thought I'd have to tell anyone about, but it's true. People don't really understand. And, oh, that's just wheat, right? Or
mm,
that's just cupcake. No, or anyway, if you don't track your food for a week, you really have no idea what your nutrient profile is. You think you're
Mm,
eating healthy, and then you look and say, wow, this is really what it is. And you don't once people eat the same things over and over again, so you really only need to track your food for a week or 10 days, and you probably got most of it, and then you're like, "Oh, wow, so this is what protein looks like. This is what fat looks like."
mm. You said you've tried pretty much every diet
Yes.
that's ever happened. Like, what do you do now? And are there any that you were like, that was interesting, like side effects or effects that you didn't think would happen that happened?
Let's see. I Right now, what I eat is local, animal-based with raw dairy, raw honey. Um, my meat is from a local farm. There's a farmer nearby that raises chickens. And so between beef and chicken and fresh eggs that I get locally, it's amazing. I love butter, tallow,
Mm,
ghee, a lot of fat. And this is what works for me right now in this stage of my life. At one point in my life, I was completely vegan. I tried that out. I was juicing every day, and that worked really well for a few months until, like, wow, I really need to eat meat. And
hmm,
because I listened to my body, I was like, oh, well, it's time to shift. So I don't attach any labels to the way I eat, but in society, in the way that's a great way for me to communicate with you of how I was eating. But I think I think going completely plant-based and juicing is great if you are trying to make a huge health shift, and it's very detoxifying and cleansing, and the minerals and the greens. But I've also totally overdone it with um too much beet greens and spinach and just, a lot of those things. I'm like, why don't I feel so great? Well, why don't I take a break from some of those foods and shift other way where so my diet will probably still change.
mm,
Uh I used to not eat any gluten because we raised our son, he was sensitive, so there was no gluten in the house, there was no wheat. And now I love, an ancient grain sourdough,
mm,
and so I source it, I make sure it's from a bakery that has ancient grains, and I try to get them where it's it's just the source of the food is really, super wonderful to me for food-wise, and I will continue to keep experimenting what works for me.
yeah, 100% agree. And I'm the same. I've tried vegan. I've gone the other way, meat only. I don't. I, Again, I'm probably similar to what you do now. Try and eat as local as I can. Obviously, being in a city, it's a little bit harder, but you can do it. And a lot of people get a little bit caught up on, oh, it's so expensive to do that. And it actually ends up being a lot cheaper than buying all the processed stuff at the supermarket because you actually end up eating less naturally. So it's worth diving into and asking those questions and doing a bit
Mm.
of research for sure. You touched on pain. I've got a note on my board, and you pretty much just said similar. I've been trying to figure out the relationship between pain and your body and recovery as well, or I guess maybe getting rid of the stress. And like pain and breath equals energy healing is what I've got on my board. Be- The way I thought of it and how it come to my mind is like, obviously in the gym when I'm working with clients and they got a tight muscle, we get a little ball and put it on a pressure point and you push into that point, whether it's in your back or wherever the pain is, you find that pressure point and that ball can push into it and cause a lot of pain if anybody's ever done it before. Excuse me. Just like getting a remedial massage or something like that. It's very painful, but if you breathe through it, eventually that pain goes away, but you're not really thinking about anything else. It's like you could have the most stressful day, you could be going through a lot, but as soon as that pain is applied and you start breathing, there's nothing else that you're worried about. And afterwards, that pain sort of disappears, that tightness disappears. So I'd like to get your take on, I guess, the relationship between pain, your body, and stress.
Okay. Pain
Mm,
is a message. Pain is a signal from your body. You can suppress it. You can take anti-inflammatory medicines. You can get a cortisone shot or some kind of steroid shot to make that pain go away, to decrease the inflammation.
Mm,
But the pain is there to give you a message. There's inflammation because healing is your body's trying to heal it. So it's trying to send blood and oxygen, and it's that's what's happening. So when there's a pain, when there's a knot like you're describing, my interpretation is the muscles are stressed, but there is a neurofeedback with that muscle. So your brain is saying, panic, protect, tighten it up,
mm,
and don't let go. This is for your safety. I don't want to do another chest press. I don't want to feel this way anymore. So we need to protect it. And so when you are doing your technique and the breathing happens, we are interrupting that neurochemical feedback loop that is just going panic, tight, 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 keep it tight. And we're saying, okay, there's no threat. We can relax now, breathe through it, not going to push through and do the same physical, like if it was caused physically, we're not going to go back and do that same physical activity. It's safe to relax, or whatever the threat is. I get it with my a whole right trapezius shoulder. I'm right-handed, so I stand at my desk right here and I get into position with my mouse and my keyboard, and I am going to do my computer work. And boy, if I don't notice it and I don't take a break, all of that is tight. And I
mm,
walk over to get a glass of water and lunch, and that's still all tight because my brain's like, okay, we're in it. We're going to stay tight. And I have to consciously relax. But if you don't know that's happening, then you go through your whole day with your brain thinking, I'm doing my job. I'm ready. I'm going to go do battle with my emails. And you don't break that and interrupt it. And so when you're with someone and you can invite them through the touch, which is painful, of the ball, as well as the breathing, then you interrupt that physically and with the mind. And
mm,
so maybe if people notice pain, that's like what we talked about earlier, is like you have to have awareness of that stress. You have to have awareness of that pain and say, oh, my body is really tightening up because it's trying to protect me from something. How can I relax that? And there's probably things you can do yourself. You don't actually need to go have somebody do something physically to manipulate you. You can work through it. And it's probably a combination of both physical as well as mental work and breathing.
mm. I'm glad you brought up that mouse hand. That is like every client I get basically at the moment, it's just tight. Like you said, they just sit there at desks all day and they're just fighting their emails and work and all that sort of stuff. And then they go and try and do anything in the gym and like, oh, my shoulder hurts. I'm like, well, no wonder. So yeah, I think people just need to realize what they're doing all day, and they might not seem stressed, but it does affect your tightness in your muscles.
And then that and then you know this better than I do, but then that affects your cross body. So that affects the opposite hip. It's going to go down to your feet. You're going to feel it in your heels. Like there's this whole twisting that happens because of the imbalance. So
Mm,
you're contracting on one side, lengthening on the other. You can go to the chiropractor, or you can do all these things, but until you interrupt that pattern, and we all have them. I mean, I'm at a standing desk and boy, I can slouch at my standing desk and get all crooked at my standing desk. I'm never really in perfect posture.
mm,
So it's recognizing we have imbalances, and when they accumulate over time, then those adhesions happen and those patterns happen. So maybe we shouldn't be working so much. Maybe we should be interrupting and having more recovery, go walk the dog.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. Trying to break those habits and just moving a little bit more. And yeah, you did touch on like the cortisone shots and all that sort of stuff. I always recommend against it because I, I haven't se I've been doing personal training for 15 years and I've never had a client that got one and said, "Oh, that fixed it." Like,
No.
no. So what is getting you excited at the moment? Like, what gets you out of bed, fired up, and ready to smash the day?
Uh, the fact that more people are interested in having conversations about energy medicine. Energy medicine is homeopathy and hands-on healing and acupuncture and tuning forks, and just knowing that people are looking for other answers. They're
Mm,
looking for a way to feel better that uses their own body and doesn't require boatloads of supplements or prescription medications or cutting, burning, or any kind of invasive procedures. And it gets me excited when people are talking about taking back responsibility for their health.
mm,
And when I get so I don't spend much time on social media or really any at all. So I don't really see the trends. But when someone says, I really resonated with how you said that, it brings me joy that just me knowing what I know and sharing my truth in my way, if I can help some people know that your body's trying to heal, that gets me so excited.
Well, like I said in the intro, that was me. I loved your content. I loved how you bring it across. And again, it's just very practical, very easy to understand. And I do think you're right. I think there's a definite shift in everybody realizing that, there's a different way of healing your body and understanding your body compared to what we've been told. It's just, like, exercise, eat good food, and sleep. But there's a whole other, you know, energy system out there, mind, body, spirit, that people are starting to wake up to and ask those questions. And it's definitely conversations like this and the work you're doing that is bringing more light to it and more understanding so people can ask better questions. So I appreciate what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure.
Where can people find more information about you and connect with you?
So the best place is to go to my website. The website is yourhealthwithbeth.com. And when you're there, you can take a free quiz. You'll get my insights on your top thing to focus on, access to a private podcast, and how you'll find out more about me.
Amazing. Thanks, Beth. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Jack.
What is up? Thanks for being here at the end of the episode. Obviously, you've enjoyed it and it's helped you find your true form. And I bet you know somebody that's going to help find their true form as well. So I'd appreciate it if you could copy this show link, send it to one friend or family member and say, hey, have a listen to this. It's going to help you find your true form. They'll probably have no idea what you're talking about, but it will help them. And I'd appreciate if you could do that. Also, all podcast platforms these days have some sort of algorithm. So the more you interact with this episode, the better it's going to perform and help reach more people and help them find their true form as well. So 5-star review, positive comment, like, share, comment, however you can interact with the episode. I'd appreciate that. And everybody listening that hasn't heard of the True Form podcast is going to appreciate it as well.